This is called a lathe. These are the main parts of it. We have the chuck. This thing spins. This is the carriage, the whole thing. This is another part of the carriage. It's the tool holder. We have the drill chuck and the tailstock. Those are the main things. This is the chuck key. A bit of safety, it's orange because it needs to stay in your hand or on the table somewhere. If you leave it there like that, you'll be in trouble, because if you turn on the machine, it will go flying and it will take you out. There are some levers on here. This lever controls the direction. You can turn it on forward or on backwards, and then in the middle is off. There's a brake down here. This brake stops the chuck from moving, and it also disconnects the power. So if it's on and you push the brake, it will disconnect the power and stop it. So that's kind of an emergency feature. To turn on the machine, there's an orange switch down here. Turn that on and the light turns on. Push the red lever down and it spins counterclockwise or towards you. If you turn it off, it'll spin down slowly. And if you turn it on this way, it'll spin in reverse. Push the brake, turn it off. And then over here, we have the tailstock. There's a handle there, so you can turn it forward and back. You put drills in there or sometimes centering devices. There are 2 speeds. When the lever is flipped to the right, it's 1/10 per revolution. So that moves the tailstock 1/10 of an inch. If I flip it to the other side and get the gear to engage, now it's a 1/4 inch per revolution. There's a brake up here. So if you push that down, it will stay in place. And then if you pull it back up, then you can move it out of the way or move it closer to your part, wherever you need it to be. Whenever you go to put a new part in here or change the tool, make sure you turn off the machine. That way it won't turn on accidentally. It's very easy to get your hands caught in here and bump the switch and you lose an arm. Nobody wants that. So we can move this out of the way. Grab our part. Make sure the jaws are kind of clean. If it's too tight, you can open it up. I'm going to leave this in my hand so I don't forget it. I'm going to tighten it and kind of wiggle the part just a little bit as I tighten it. Once it's grabbed, you know it's in there square. I can tighten it down. Doesn't need to be too tight, but it needs to not move. Now to take something out, put the tool back in and loosen it. Pull the part out, take the tool out, set it down so it doesn't go anywhere. Now if you need to change the tool, that's pretty easy. There's a lever right here. Pull that to the up position and this will slide right out. This is called a dovetail. It's got a matching feature there. And when you push that down, the dovetail expands and it holds it nice and tight. Now this doesn't have the adjustment screw on it to adjust the height. So when we go to put it back in, we're going to place it on there and just lock it real loosely. I'm going to take this centering device. This is normally for putting taps in the mill or on here. It holds the back end of the tap, but it's a nice tool to see where the center of the chuck is. I'm just going to put that in there loosely. Run the carriage over and put the tip of the tool very close to the tip of the other tool here. And what I want to do is set the height so that the top surface there that's actually doing the cutting is going to be aligned with the axis. So it's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to run this over real close to the tip of the tool and kind of line that up. Let's see if I can move this around a little bit. I want it to be right about there so that it's in the same plane as the tool. The axis is in the middle. Then you can lock it down and double check that it's in the right spot, and that's pretty good. Now we can move this away, take out our tool. So there's another thing that we can adjust here. That is this tool holder. Take a 3/8 Allen wrench, pop that loose, and now this can rotate side to side. And we want this to be at a 5-degree angle. And the reason for that is this particular insert is 80 degrees at the tip, and we're trying to make something square, so we need a 90-degree angle. It gives us 5 degrees of relief on either side. And what I mean by relief is that only the corner is cutting. These edges are not contacting the part. So if I run it that way, it's only touching on the corner. And then if I run it this way, it's only touching on the corner. So I have this little tool here. It's set to 5 degrees. Put it that way. So it'll set the tool holder to the right angle. Put that in there and tighten it down. And then tighten it a little bit more. And we're good. So now we can see just the tip of the tool touches. This back side is not touching. That's the relief. And the same on this side. Just the tip of the tool is touching, and this corner is not. That's the relief on that side. So that is a properly set tool angle for this tool. Now, if you're going to use the part off tool, which is this guy, this is made for cutting straight in and cutting off part of the stock that you have, whatever material it is. When you set this, you don't want there to be an angle. You want it to be perpendicular to the axis here. So I'm just going to take a parallel so I can see it a little bit better and check that it's pretty good. And then I'll tighten it down there. And you need to do the same thing setting the height to make sure that it's in the right spot for this. Let's talk about the measuring devices on here. On the main carriage movement, this is a course adjustment. And there are graduations on here. So you can move it a few thousandths at a time or a few tenths at a time. That works the same for this direction. In this, we have on this side millimeters. Each tick mark is 0.025 millimeters. Or we have this graduation down here, which is 0.001 inches or 1,000th per tick mark. So if I want to move the tool in, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now I've moved from 0.17 to 0.18. I want to measure that in between. I can have 0.173, 0.175, 0.179, 0.180. And there's a fine adjustment over here too. This works the same way. It's got the same graduations. So those are the main parts of the machine. There's some other stuff that we don't use a whole lot, like the speed adjustment levers. There's a screw in here where you can have it auto feed the carriage back and forth. That's mostly used for cutting threads on some type of material, but we don't do that very often.